Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Ketchup Court TV. I go by the name of Heinz. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Ketchup Court Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We are going through week 4 of the Diddy trial. A lot has happened this week. I wouldn't say it's as explosive as the previous 2 weeks. I would say, 3 weeks. It's not as explosive as week 3 when we were talking about Jane. A lot of housekeeping matters was happening during this week, but there's still a case to discuss. The prosecution are still putting on a very strong case, and they have unleashed a lot of evidence this week that we're gonna go through. But that being said, a lot of off-field, can I call it off-field? I don't know. Outside of testimonial evidence, a lot of things such as referring to juror leaks, etc., those things have been happening. A juror has been kicked out of the case for lying in regards to where they were from. They were kicked out, and they done an interview with Byron of Hip Hop Inquirer. I have personally not watched that interview, but it's out there. I will link it below so that you guys can go and see it. I don't have any comments to it because I haven't seen it obviously, but it is circulating. But yeah, there was a lot of commotion in regards to the guns that was found during the raid, the FBI raid of Diddy's residence. They found a lot of guns, and the defense was trying to keep out the witness that was there as well, and tell the prosecution to bring on the agent that actually found the gun and not this witness that just prejudices Diddy. There was no decision on that, so I don't know what they're gonna do moving on from that. One of the jurors also got sick on day 26, and he had vertigo, so the case could not continue on day 26. So we only had 4 days of trial. There was also a lot of contention in regards to removing a juror, an additional juror on top of the juror that's already been removed. So there was, and this was again in regards to the inconsistencies and that the juror was presenting during voir dire. So, and the prosecution was saying that the integrity is foiled. Brian still came back and said that they're just trying to remove the black jurors so that they can have a less diverse jury pool, and he basically made the point: why would they know this information and sit on it until now, after the case has been gone on? So that had a lot of discussions, but yeah, that's pretty much a lot of things in regards to the jury. There was also leaks in regards to the jurors that the prosecution and the defense were asked about. They all were basically saying that we don't know who leaked it. Somebody leaked it, but no one was basically coming forward in regards to this. But yeah, as usual, when I do these recaps, these are just inner city press tweets, so we are just gonna go through that for the whole week. So if you have not followed the tweets, you just have no time, or you probably don't even know about inner city press. Well, we are going to go through all of his tweets. We don't have the official transcripts. If the transcripts do get released at some point in the future, I will be the first one on it, because this case is very interesting to me. It's possibly the first RICO case that has a lot of domestic violence in it, but it's not really being considered outside the realm of coercion. So it's not like I always find cases like that interesting, where you see the jury hearing things as gruesome as domestic violence, and they're being told that they can't consider it because that's not the charge that's being forward, and they're only supposed to consider trafficking, which, if in my opinion, if you don't get it right, if you don't argue it properly, if you don't present it definitively, it can definitely backfire. So in all of this, you might turn out to hear Diddy walk and be found not guilty. However, these are the feds. This is the government. They don't miss. If they put on this case, they have a strong case. And for me, so far, what they have put on is pretty strong. It's pretty strong. I think that they have shown, because the case is coming to a close very soon. They are wrapping up next week. That's what I think Smizer had basically said, that they are wrapping up their case next week. So sometime next week. So I don't know if if Diddy is gonna put on any defense whatsoever. I don't think so. I don't think he's gonna call in anyone to testify on his behalf. So yeah, so that's about it. Let's just go through. So it began. Let me just get this up for you, because it began. The prosecution began by reading out text messages. Prosecution began by reading out text messages on day 23. Let me just try and find the right tab. I think I closed it down by accident. Prosecution began by reading out text messages to show that by reading out text messages to show that there was a lot of coercion going, that KK and D-Rock, KK being Christina Coram, she is pretty much the head girl in front of all this, Diddy's main confidant, and she was pretty much orchestrating a lot of the cleanup, and D-Rock was the security. Again, I don't know if these guys are going to testify. I don't think KK is going to testify. Like they have said it last week. I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, but the text messages that was presented to the jury is basically that they are going to, that these individuals were basically scared of Diddy and his power and what he might do to them. So that's why you see them carrying out tasks, because the master of the enterprise, and why he's the only one being indicted, frankly, and not everyone else, because they are probably co-indictors, or I forgot the name of the word, but mainly that Diddy is the one being indicted because he's the one that has put everyone under duress to carry out all these illegal activities for them. But Agent Lamon, not Lemon. Agent Lamon was the first agent up on day 23. He basically testified into finding baby oil and Astroglide, as well as lingerie, and 200 bottles of, and this was 200 bottles of baby oil and 900 bottles of Astroglide. And to be quite fair, I remember Brian still on day 2 or day 3. I can't remember the exact day of the trial. Sorry, but he's basically was arguing that it's not illegal to own baby oil. And while he is right, let's admit that Diddy's enterprise is not Costco. You know, he is not basically hoarding baby oil or selling baby oil as a warehouse of Bad Boy Entertainment or Sean Combs Enterprises. That's not what he's doing. So when you're bringing out baby oil in this exorbitant amount, it may seem like a no big deal, like this isn't illegal. But when you put it in a context of an enterprise and you show how these players were moving these things about, cleaning these things up, it just furthers the idea that this baby oil was being used in this case free cuffs, but it was being used as a business, not necessarily as personal use. Because why would you have such a massive amount if you're not engaging in illegal sex acts, for example? Because that's what they have shown that they're using the baby oil for. It was for illegal sex acts. So even though it's not illegal to have baby oil, the acts that it was being used under, as well as the amount that was being used, it may not be a strong inference, but it's just a massive inference to a RICO enterprise, from what I understand. And they also found a lot of gun in the premises. One of the gun that Agent Lamont was testifying to, he basically said had no serial number on it whatsoever. So when it comes to this, I don't know the law in regards to firearms in the US and why this is such a prevalent thing. They don't really need this to be, because I think they have him on 3 other predicates, but gun possession is I mean, not possession, but it is part of the RICO predicate. So when you look at it, yeah, they have to present it, and all he basically said that the gun serial numbers were basically rubbed off. So the idea is he's also trafficking. He's also engaging in gun trafficking as well. They haven't really put out a case to show how he's moving these guns around or anything like that. And everyone that testified basically said that the guns was for his security, which again is not illegal, because security are allowed to own firearms. People are allowed to have firearms. So, anyway, that was the bulk of Agent Lamont's testimony. We're gonna go through not Agent Perez. Sorry, we're gonna go through Perez's testimony, and also the drug mule of Diddy, Brendan Paul. And these two are pretty much really key players that came out on this day, because for Perez, he was the assistant that was mainly at the free cuffs with Jane. So he was a pretty much recent assistant that was setting up the free cuffs, cleaning up the free cuffs, etc. So that was for Perez. And Brendan Paul was mainly the drug mule that was caught in possession of drugs at the airport. We're gonna go through that testimony as well. But yeah, those are the 2 testimonies that we're gonna focus on today's episode. Going through week 4. Like I said, it's not as explosive as the other 3 weeks. As the other 3 weeks, I would say, yeah, because it has had a lot of fireworks. But yeah, this week has just been pretty much slam dunk, run of the mill, bring this in to show how guilty he is, etc. So anyway, let's continue. Jonathan Perez, the assistant, and he basically testifies and says that he is pleading he's pleading the 5th. So a lot of people have pled the 5th in this case. So no indictment is heading towards him for his testimony today. This week. So Jonathan Perez was asked. Was asked where he was from. He said he's from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. What was your work? Personal assistant to Mr. Combs. From when? December 2021 to September 2024. So he was there around the same time that Jane Doe was there. How did you learn of the job? KK reached out to me, Christian Okorum. I'd had interviewed with her for the same job. KK told me to go to Miami for a trial. What do you mean? To try for the job for a week. I passed the test, got hired. What was your job? Making sure he had material for meetings, buying gifts. Where did you go? Where did you work? LA and Miami. So the main point here is, if at least from what I'm seeing from the government, almost every one of this stuff, they always go through officially. Like they don't sign up to be doing a lot of the things that they ended up doing. And this bolsters the RICO case a lot, in my opinion, because if they're just coming in thinking that all they're doing is just taking care of the guy. They're just setting up meetings. They're just buying gifts for whenever it's necessary for a client or something like that. They're not gonna think that their lives are in danger. But as things unfold, that's what they always end up testifying to. So it goes in furtherance to the RICO predicate that these guys end up. At least you get the idea of forced labor. From what I understood, because they are carrying out illegal activities and they're being coerced to it one way or the other. At least from what I understand of it. The KK and Mr. Combs appear to be personal friends too. It would depend on the day. And you and Mr. Combs, first 6 months, little interaction, it was KK who would give me instructions. Then from Mr. Combs, yes. When you were employed by Mr. Combs, were you aware of the term King Knight? Yes, Mr. Combs going to a hotel to have private time with a female. Let me show you a photo on the seal. I will refer to her as Jane. Yes, she was a guest. So confirms Jane identity. Let me get this up. Thank you so much. Before continuing, I just want to welcome hey on the plume. I see you in the chat. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you everyone else for tuning in. Let me know how you're feeling in the chat as well. But yeah. Let me just read out your chat quickly. Normally Plume says, does RICO come in with the guns missing serial numbers because it suggests illegal gun possession, sales, and use? Yeah, it does. That's what I think that they're putting the RICO in for, the guns in for. That's one of the predicates, but it doesn't necessarily show. It doesn't necessarily prove, because I mean, illegal gun possession. I don't know how it's going to be argued by the prosecution in closing, but yes, it is illegal to own. It is illegal to own unregistered firearms. So without the serial numbers on it, that's even worse. So if the guns belong to the security guard, then I think Diddy gets off the hook, in my opinion. If they can show that it belongs to the security guards and the guns were for security guards, then I think Diddy gets off the hook. However, when they have testimonies of the security engaging in activities where the guns are being used, maybe you can argue the RICO part. But again, I'm not 100%, but based on what I understand about RICO, it would be getting everyone else to engage in illegal activities in your enterprise, that your enterprise is being used for illegal activities. So that's where I think the gun predicate comes in. But yeah, anyway, let's continue. Did you include honey in your setups for King's Nights? Yes. Why? Honey increases a man's libido. What lights would be bring? I don't know what that means. Red, but they could change colors. We would better than at Target or Walgreens or Amazon. Would you make purchases at sex stores? Yes. Would staff do clean up after the King's Nights? Yes, I did it. It was very disarray, and sheets and towels and oils. We would go and collect everything after the night. A meal after the King Night, a meal and a drip. So at one point the thread did cut out. So yeah, that wasn't fun to witness, but nonetheless, let's continue on with the testimony. He basically says here, this part 2, Mr. Perez, is this your text message? Yes, it's me, KK, and Joey. KK asks, how is the setup going? How much longer do you all need? What did you write back? I wrote, I got fruits and shakes, and I will ask Jane about outfits. Then KK asked, is room done yet? How did you respond? I wrote, room is done, now going to the store. If I'm sweating a lot, it's because it's really hot here in the in the UK. Trust me, every window is open. It's so humid. It's so hot here, and I'm just. It's like a sauna. It's like a sauna, basically. But yeah, wish me luck for this stream because I'm gonna need it, so that I'm not surrounded in a puddle. Anyway, moving on. What store? Adult store. Afterward, KK asked, clean up of what? The room. How did you become aware of this video? A videographer named Brandon showed it to me. Where did you go? I told an iPad. I don't know what that means. I told an iPad and went to the office. What was on the video? Jane having sex with a black man and Mr. Combs watching. Yeah, Jane last week called Sean a cock, so that's why you're seeing this. Did you tell Mr. Combs? I did. I told him I found it on an iPad and it probably shouldn't be there. He seemed surprised. The reason why that video is important as well is because of the Mann Act and what they're trying to prove. The Mann Act, if you engage in commercial in commercial sex acts in a different jurisdiction and things like that, and someone else is having sex with, even if they're your girlfriend, they will be guilty of the Mann Act. So I think that's what that video is going to serve, that she was being engaged in illegal sexual activity and money was being exchanged, etc. We found that out on week 3 when we go through when we went through Jane Doe's testimony. So that's why this video is important and why Perez testifying to it is important. What did KK say? That in the future I should bring things like that to her. I described it to her. Did you speak with her about it again? KK said she had gotten a call from someone outside the company talking about the video in some capacity. Did you record that conversation? No. Were you aware it was recorded? No. Show the stipulation, seizure of Christina Corum's cell phone. We offered the audio transcripts, and I wish these transcripts are revealed of the audio. I would love to hear what's on them. Anyway, whose voice did you hear, Mr. Perez? KK's voice, audio of KK. Both time, the only person at the house who knew about it was you. The it there is the videotape. Where did you find it? Perez testifies Brandon the shooter. So sorry, there are a lot of typos here. Anyway, was that you? That's what we're saying. Was that you? Yes, and he's the photographer. Brandon was like, something on the iPad I shouldn't see. I start that was the audio being played. KK says, was there anyone else in the theater? Perez answers, maybe Gio. This is still the audio playing, by the way. We have camera footage of who was in the house. I went to the PD about it. Said you can delete it. He said okay and deleted it. Then I told you. So this is like I said. This is an audio conversation transcript of KK and Perez. Now the camera footage that was in the house, whatever was going on, we now found out that it was deleted, according to the audio here by Perez. KK says, did you hear anyone else in the house talk about it? Did anyone else ever bring it up? No. Rob talked about it, but he said he didn't want to see it. So now the audio stops playing and they're going back to the testimonies. The government asks, why did you not want to delete it? Perez says it wasn't my role. So they go back to the audio testimony. Sorry, they go back to the audio that was playing, and this is the transcript. It says there should be an investigation. Mr. Combs thought he might be compromised in some way. It's phone data. So AUSA goes back, says, let's pull up the next one for the jury. The next audio is playing, and in the audio, Perez says, I told Rob I found something private on the iPad. He said he didn't want to know. KK says, was anyone else in the theater except for you all and Gio? No. The government asked Perez, was Chef K in the theater? Perez says yes. Why didn't you say Chef K was there? I just wanted to minimize things. Did anyone ask you again? Yes, Fahim asks, what happened when I found the video of Jane? Are you aware of how Fahim knew? No. So that's pretty much the testimony in regards to KK and Perez. Let me just continue on here. That's pretty much the testimony in regards to Perez. It got cut off again when they went on break. They came back from break, and here the Perez testimony continues. He was asked, Mr. Perez, were you subpoenaed and do you have an immunity agreement? Perez says yes. Let me show you this. What is it? Perez answers, Mr. Combs' Gucci pouch. What was in the Gucci pouch? Drugs and money. Now some text between whom? Me and Rob. Rob says, will you locate his Gucci pouch in his bathroom? What did you say? I texted, there was no residue and I didn't steal any Addy. Lol. Meanwhile, what? I'm guessing that means to say meaning what? And Perez says, Adderall. As part of your employment, did you have any role in obtaining drugs? Perez says, a handful of times I would purchase or grab them from someone outside. AUSA says, who were you getting the drugs for? Perez says, Mr. Combs, which drugs? Cocaine, Xanax, Molly. How did you pay for the drugs? Cash. Where did you get the cash? Security or the Gucci pouch? Who in security? Fahim. What did you text? What did your text say here? I texted FA, I need $700 for Guido for drugs. So Guido here is the drug dealer, and the procuring of drugs. Again, I don't know. I mean, I have never understood the drug laws. I know you can't sell it. I know you can't distribute it. And I know that you can also get done. It's also a crime to be in possession of drugs when you're traveling the country, or etc., or something like that. Or if someone was to raid your home and you are in a position of how the drugs, you can be in trouble. But I don't know if it's illegal to take it. So if they're buying these drugs for personal use, I don't know if that proves RICO, because to me, I've always read the drug trafficking and drug possession and all that. It's always been in distribution or doing things like that. So that's what I believe the RICO statute was even made for. So maybe they don't have to prove distribution. Maybe they don't have to prove that. Just the mere possession of drugs is good enough to send Diddy down. And having it this much in the business context, I'm paying for it with the business funds, etc. Maybe that's enough. I don't know enough to speak on and say yeah it's for definite. You know what I'm trying to say. I hope I'm making sense, because I've always had a bit of difficulty trying to wrap my head around the drug laws in the States and how it's persecuted, especially under RICO. But I know that if you were doing that under RICO, it's a lot easier to prove, and as well as another predicate than just than anything else. Anyway, moving on. And this text, I texted, I'm still waiting for the funds from TriStar, Mr. Combs, business managers. Who would you interact with at TriStar? Robin Greenhill. Did you get FaceTime from Mr. Combs from Jane's house? Yes. I dropped him at Jane's house with the supplies. Then he called me a couple of hours later. How did Mr. Combs appear in the FaceTime? Angry and annoyed. Could you see Jane's face? No, she turned away. What did Mr. Combs ask? For me to say if there had been any other female on a trip we had been on. I said no. Had there been? No. How did you react during this FaceTime? Pretty normal, I thought. What did you do? I told Fahim and KK that Mr. Combs was arguing with his guest and that I was going to pick him up. What is this? Message me, Fahim and Mr. Combs, June 20th, 2024. I wrote, I need cash for his guest ASAP. Do you know what the money was for? No. Why did you leave working for Mr. Combs? To avoid situation like this. How do you feel about Mr. Combs? Great. The same way as when I worked there. No further questions. So Brian Steele for the cross examination says Mr. Combs is a motivator, yes? Perez says yeah, he is. Have you seen Mr. Combs cry? Let me show you something. Give me 1 second, Your Honor. May I hand him a book? You may, Judge says. 3605. I can't remember if he was crying, but this does remind me that he was upset. Look again. It does not refresh. You said that there was a lot going on. Do you remember the March searches? Yes. You saw the news? Yes. Have you been in the bedroom at 2-Star? Yes. Did you ever see any guns there? No. Did you ever see him with firearms? Never. I only saw security with them. Because he is a man of note, right? Yes. He is a man respected in many fields. Objection. I'll ask this. You have worked with other celebrities? Yes. And many of them have security, right? They do. You do mention Jane. She was nice to you? Yes. So they're getting ahead from what I'm gathering here. Still is getting ahead of the whole guns issue. That and he's basically saying that if Mr. Combs have guns, it's not wrong for him to have guns. If other celebrities basically have guns, that even the witness that you have here is saying that they do. Even though Perez is here to testify in regards to the deleted audio, the deleted video, as well as the setting up the free cuffs, etc. It was nice to extract that testimony from him. You called King's Knight's personal time, right? Yes. Mr. Combs works long hours, right? Yes. Because you worked out of his homes. Sometimes business and personal got mixed, right? Sorry, let me start again. Because you worked out of his homes. Sometimes business and personal got mixed, right? And Perez answers correct. Setting up a King's Night, was that business or personal? Personal. And buying drugs, I'm not saying you did it often. That was personal too, right? Right. And buying lingerie for Jane, personal? Personal. I don't know how this argument for personal or business is working out. I get it. Is to not link him to the enterprise and be like, yeah, he was doing all these things in his personal time, or all those things, but yet the point is he was still an employee. And I don't know I don't know if they mean personal time or personal funds or all those things, because end of the day Perez was still an assistant. So with him getting all this stuff, it might be hard to argue away, even if he was buying him in his own personal time. But again, there might be nuances to all of this, because he does go and testify that him and Mr. Combs became friends. So if that was the case, that does distinguish, that line a little bit. That does show that, yeah, that he wasn't just an assistant. So all of these things can be seen as away from Combs Enterprise. It's not a bad cross-examination. It's just how do you pass that through to the jury, in my opinion. Steele goes on to ask, did Jane always appear to you to be a willing participant in the King's Night? Objection was overruled. Perez answers, yes, always. A small amount of drugs, personal use. That objection was sustained. Steele asks, can you estimate percentages of your work, business, and personal? I would say personal was 1%. Mr. Combs needed help connection to Bluetooth? Yes. He was not very high tech. He was not. So that testimony was not good, because if the work, if the percentage of work was 1% personal, it just defeats the entire foundation he just built on. Still us, Mr. Combs was working on an album very, very hard, right? Yes. You say KK and Mr. Combs were close, right? Yes. But you're not saying it was sexual. I am not. The argument you saw on FaceTime, it was a verbal argument, not physical as you saw it, right? Right. You learned it was about jealousy. Yes. Jane was very jealous. Objection. This was sustained. You're about the same age as Jane. Yes. Was Jane a strong and independent woman? Yes. You made purchases in sex stores with the company credit card. I did. But you don't know if Mr. Combs paid. I don't. The hotel was put in your name. You had to go inside the room, right? Yes. And if the room was registered as Sean Combs, there might be cameras outside, right? Right. So again, he's showing that he was not. I think this was good to get out, because it's showing that even though these hotel were not in the name of Sean Combs, etc., that doesn't necessarily mean that he was just getting them to do all these things for him. The main reason was because he was a celebrity, and these homes, and he couldn't necessarily have his name around because of the publicity he will bring. I think it's a good angle to look at it. I don't think it's enough to get away from the stench of RICO, though, because again, if this assistant is cleaning up the acts that you were doing in these hotel rooms and doing all those things, that is still not legal, even if it's not in your name. So, I mean, I think it knocks a little bit of a dent, but I don't think it's enough. Kanye West was at the at the quorum that day as well. That man makes me laugh. Anyway, moving on. So there was a sidebar because of an exhibit being introduced. The judge says you may proceed, but without showing the exhibit to the gallery. And the exhibit was shown. It says, "These are between you and Jane. What did you say to her?" "I was setting up a king's night. She was telling me what to get." Still ask, she is cooperating in setting up. Let me start again. She is cooperating in setting it up. Here, the chef says he's making her avocado toast. She asked for hot tea and honey to go with a heart emoji. And you replied, "I loved it." Okay. And you wrote, "I wrote, have a good flight and dinner. I want photos of you and the gang." So this was part of that message that was here. I'll just read it out really quickly. It says something I think you said for you and your child that was large, had a big yard, right? I'm sorry, can you reference my child as my child? That was Jane Doe. I correct myself, of course. For you and your child, you wanted a big yard, right? I did. And you wanted a big home? I did. And so you wanted someone for your child, but you also wanted someone to Mr. Combs' test levels. Yes. So that was that was a cross-examination before Perez came on. Anyway, moving on. She wrote to you he was looking for smoke, and you wrote coming. Yes. Your Honor, I don't have any further questions. So that was the cross-examination done. Redirect is up. Was getting those things for Jane part of your job? Yes. And just like I thought, the personal part and all of that does not change the fact that his job was still his assistant, and that was part of his job, even though he didn't come in advertised as that. So he ended up doing these extra things after he got the job. Not good for RICO, in my opinion. Did you ever set up King's Nights on vacation? No. We can turn the public screen back on. Thank you. This item, new hooker, is that personal? Not necessarily. And the baby oil, personal. Part of your job? Yes. It was TriStar which designated the payments, not you, right? Right. Nothing further. And that was it. that was it for, I believe, for the day. They were just talking here in regards to they were just talking there in regards to what to do what to do about Brendan Paul and all of that, and and D-Rock, and whether they're gonna call them to testify, etc. All of those things. The next day, Ananya Sankar came in to testify, and this was just the paralegal at the U.S. Attorney Office, and they went through Christina Quorum's text messages with Brendan Paul to basically show how these two were communicating, and he was a drug mule, like I said. So that was the bulk of her testimony for day 25, I believe. So that was the bulk of her testimony, and then the day was over. Sorry, day 24. The day was over that day, and it was a short day. And now we are in day 25, in which Agent Penland also testified. He was basically the one that was going through, that had investigated the whole premises, found involvements with and calls with Eddie Garcia. We went through Eddie Garcia's testimony on week 2, I believe, and he testified a lot in regards to the communications between Quorum and Cassie. So a lot of that was basically Agent Penland's. Nothing much, I would say, derived from his testimony, and that was it. Now we're gonna go into the testimony again. Day 25 was short as well. There was no, like I said, there was no course on day 26. We're just gonna go through day 27, and this was the testimony of Brendan Paul. We're just gonna go through that really quickly. He was asked, "Do you recognize this person?" And Sean Combs: "I worked for him until I was arrested at the Florida airport of possession of cocaine in my personal assistant bag." Let me move on. Okay, I hope you can see it now. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm moving on. He says, why was it there? "I was sweeping Mr. Combs' room." "How did you come to work for Mr. Combs?" "Through Revolt, Eddie Moran. He told me, get in to get out. If you have a girlfriend, break up with her. You will never see her." "Did you interview?" "Late October 2022 at 200 South Mapleton Drive." "How were you greeted there?" "My ID was scanned and I had to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Frankie Santella and Christina Quorum was there. KK." "Did they hire you?" "Yes, I would pack a lot of joints in the garage, marijuana." "When did you meet Mr. Combs?" "KK came to the garage and told me to come to a listening party in the backyard and take notes." "What was KK's role?" "Chief of staff, helped out with the family." "Did KK use Mr. Combs' phone?" "Yes." That's really bad. The chief of staff is using your phone to set up all these meetings, etc., meaning that this person was your right-hand person to carry out all this, to coordinate all these crimes, basically. How many assistants did Mr. Combs have? At first 5, then 4, then 2. Given my college basketball background, I helped with Mr. Combs' workouts. I believe he was one of the assistants as well. Don't quote me, but I believe he was one of the assistants. I haven't read anything to suggest that outside of drug mule, but I believe he came in as an assistant. Who is this? Jonathan Perez. And this? Butler Frank Rodriguez. What did Mr. Combs' butler do? Stand next to Puff, give him water, chapstick, whatever he needed. What a privileged life. Did you have group chats with KK? Yes. Turn to the binder and flip through it. Who is this? Fahim. We call him Fa. FAH. What was your salary? 75. Started at 75,000 a year, then 100,000. I got paid bi-weekly by Combs Enterprises. Where did you live? In Airbnb in LA and Miami. Where did KK live? Where did KK stay? Sorry. in LA, an apartment 4 minutes from 200 South Mapleton in Miami in Two-Star Island. Did you accompany Mr. Combs to paid club appearances? Yes, he would ask for $150,000 and they would have to sell things for him. What did you do to stay awake? Prescription, Adderall, and sometimes cocaine. What was your job? To make sure Mr. Combs was always happy. He would say, I don't take no for an answer. He told us to move like SEAL Team 6. Did Mr. Combs fire you? Yes, for forgetting his Lululemon fanny pack when he went on a walk. He said, I don't want to see your face anymore. Tell KK you're fired. What did you do? Bought a Lululemon fanny pack, getting laid low. Did you ever come? I don't know what Lululemon fanny pack is. Maybe it's one of those things that people use to put things inside of it. I don't know. If you know, chat, put it in the chat. If you know, put it in the chat. Let me know. Did you ever complain to HR? No, that wasn't a thing. Why not? HR even forgot to pull my federal taxes for my first 8 months. You would just go to Mr. Combs. Did Mr. Combs use drugs? Yes, ecstasy, cocaine, more. I think the HR thing has put it just furthers the conspiracy, the RICO part a bit more, in my opinion, because if this is a front, if you just putting this in like HR just for appearance sake and they don't even do any work or anything like that, then you are pretty much an illegal. It's giving the idea that it's pretty much an illegal franchise that just beats people up, does all these things, but have fronts to make it seem like it's a legit business. That's the impression I'm getting. If I was in a jury, I may be thinking the same thing, but again, I don't know what's going on in the courts. Maybe there's more to that. And of course, the jury instruction is going to make it clear what the law is and how they should deliberate these matters. The government asks, what is in this photo? My hand with ecstasy and 2C pink cocaine. Why did you take the photo? To ask staff what to do with it after I found it. I was told to put it in his in his bag. Did you buy marijuana for him? Yes. From whom? Paul Pines. Puff liked Sunset Sherbet. Who were the other drug dealers Mr. Combs used? One Stop, Guido, Baby Girl, and I think OEI. So we know One Stop and Guido exist. I don't know about Baby Girl, etc. But at least this is going to show the drug distribution part of the franchise. Who is this? Guido. Is this your chat with Baby Girl? What is happening? Jonathan Perez introducing me to Baby Girl. She asked me, is it for you or Puff? I replied, Puff, but tell anyone it's for me. Okay. Why? Puff is high profile, so we use aliases. Did Mr. Combs use Cialis? Yes, we will put it in his nightstand. Cialis, I think, is medication to get your thing up. Your message to Love Red Phone, what does it mean? I called Puff Love. His red phone was personal. The business phone was yellow. What did he text you? Zans. How did you pay for drugs? Cash from Gucci bag or security, usually Fahim. In this text, what is flowers? Marijuana. Did you also call it tree? Yes. Here Fahim tells me I'll get back paid once due comes on shift. Did Mr. Combs have you take drugs? Yes. To test is 2C. I don't know what that means. Did you take it? Did you want to take it? I wanted to prove my loyalty. So it's showing the coercion aspect, which we have already have the impression so far that he would get the other assistants to take drugs and they didn't want to, as well as the women that he was involved in, that we get the idea that he forced them to take drugs. There was actually, I'll say it again, there was no real explicit proof of force. So it was just inferences of coercion to take drugs. I'll say that. I don't think, based on what I've read from what's been reported, I don't think there's been any proof that he forced anyone to take these drugs. But the fact that he was testing these things before Mr. Combs take it, maybe you can argue that's coercion as well. Maybe. What were Wild King nights? Mr. Combs and significant others, drugs, sex. Did Jane participate in Wild King nights? Yes. Did Mr. Combs' other girlfriends participate in Wild King nights? Not that I'm aware of. Who called them Wild King nights? KK. I'll just say he's going to hotels. Did Mr. Combs stop using hotels and moved them to the residences? Yes. After the Cassie lawsuit. That's bad. Oh my God, that is bad. What did you do? Clean up after. What does it say? That Jane coming in, Brendan is setting up Wild King night probable. So he was still having all these nights despite we went through this. So it's not really a shock. We already went through this last week with Jane Doe. We saw he was still having these free cuff sessions and all of this even after the lawsuit was launched. This guy is a maniac. At least that's the impression I'm getting. So even after that, he stopped using the hotel and moved it to his personal residence, which suggests that he knows what he was doing was not legal. At least he knows he'll be under a lot of scrutiny now. So he was trying to go on the ground. At least that's the impression I'm getting. Where did you make the reservation? Nobu. Where was this Wild King night? Jane's residence. I wrote running to Walmart for them. KK asked, Wild King mode active or Gucci bag active? What did you say? Between the two. How did you know what to buy for Mr. Combs' Wild King night? We had a shared document in the notes app. Who was responsible for the Astroglide? The property manager. I didn't think the 200 South Mapleton manager was so good. So photo. I took the photo to show the manager how to lay out the Astroglide in her bathroom. How would you put in for the cash? Robin at TriStar. Did Mr. Combs contact you from Wild King nights? Yes, by voice notes or FaceTime. He called me to go get a sex outfit, but he never called me back. How did you clean up after? I wore gloves. Why? Sanitary reasons? Is this a photo of the day of your arrest? Yes, March 25th, 2024. Rented jet. The cocaine you were arrested with, was it Mr. Combs? Objection was sustained. Was it yours? No. Was it Mr. Combs? It just was overruled. I'm guessing that was foundation then. Mr. Combs, what did you do after arrest? A diversion program, drug treatment. No further question. So, from what I'm guessing here, they have shown that there is at least the government has shown that with this guy there was movement across state lines at least he was arrested. So you have something like that on record that he was moving this and distributing this at the behest of Mr. Combs, and this was for Mr. Combs. He was also getting it from other dealers and moving around the establishment. So I mean, they only have to prove two predicates. So I think they don't even need to prove the drug things if it's not 100%. But I think they have enough here for that, as well as the sex trafficking predicate of the RICO as well. So cross-examination was as follows. Still asked, before I go into cross-examination, Norman Plume says Lululemon is sportswear brand. Fanny pack is what we call bum bag. Thank you so much. I didn't know. 2C is pink cocaine. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Norman Plume. Thanks for teaching me, because I'm an old man now. I'm 33 years of age. I'm getting white hairs on my beard, the bar of my beard. I'm getting old, so I'm not understanding all this street slang, all what you kids use nowadays. So yeah, so thanks for that. You weren't just a drug mule, were you? I was not just that. It was a minor part of what you did. Absolutely. Personal use, rephrase. The alternatives were personal, rephrase again. It was Mr. Combs and Jane, relaxation, personal, right? For you, from your observation, yes. Did you see Jane as hesitant? I did not. If you saw non-consensual activity, you would not have worked there, right? Obsession is sustained. I'm guessing that's speculation. You would not work for a criminal, would you? No. You care about your reputation? Yes. You were arrested for 27 grams, barely personal use. It was a mistake, right? Yes. And the case was dismissed? Yes. Did drugs make Sean more focused? He got extremely creative. So I think this is excellent from the defense, because at least, I mean, the 27 grams is a lot of drugs. So maybe that might be, it's a lot of weight. So maybe that might be used to basically say, that might go against him and say that's a bit too much for someone. I don't know if it's too much, but 27 grams sounds like a lot to me. And the fact that the case was dismissed, etc., the fact that he was using this, that Mr. Combs was the main one using this, it gives the idea that he was just ordering for himself and not really trying to distribute it to everyone. So even though he was getting drugs from all these people, it was mainly for himself. That's the impression I'm getting. And like I said, is it illegal to take drugs? Is it illegal to do? I know it's illegal to have possession of drugs and all those things, but to take it for personal use and all of those things and not really forcing it on others, etc. Because if he was doing that and forcing others to take drugs with him, that's bad. But if it's just for himself, then I don't know if they can prove RICO with that. Picky B says hi. Says hello Heinz. Hello Picky B. Thanks so much for joining. Let me go back to this cross examination. It's just finishing. It says, as you say here today, are you indebted to Mr. Sean Combs? Brendan Paul says good experiences for the most part. And from there, still basically says no further questions and it was to redirect. Did you know what was happening in the Wild King nights? Rephrase, were you there? No. What did you think the $5,000 were for? This was sustained. Did you give Mr. Combs $5,000 cash in another context? No. You said you wouldn't work for a criminal, but you bought drugs for Mr. Combs. Yes, more than 5 times, less than 10. So drugs are illegal. That's the way I'm guessing hidden. You can't have drugs around you. You can't have it in possession, even if you're taking it for personal, recreational use. Maybe marijuana would be a bit, because I know that the laws, maybe not in New York, but the laws in the states are very favorable in some states to marijuana. So maybe that's not bad. But I don't know how this argument with the drugs part is going to have, because they have to defend that as well. It's part of the RICO predicate, that if you have drugs in a business and you're using business funds to take out these drugs, that they have already had people coming in to testify in regards to the moving of funds and all of that to buy these drugs. If you're using business funds to get the drugs, that is bad. I think they have proven RICO for at least the drug trafficking predicate and sex trafficking. Moving on. How do you feel about Mr. Combs? It's complicated. No further questions. No recross. Thank you. You may go, Mr. Paul. And that was basically it for the day, I believe. Oh no. So I think that wasn't it for the day. Joseph Cicciello of Homeland Security testified as well, and he was the one that he does investigations for the Homeland Security. He was basically at the scene of the raid when they went to raid his house. He testified to monetary exchanges with Fahim and Jonathan Perez for the free cuffs, and this was mainly the main highlight of the day. I'm gonna go and I think that's basically it. I'm gonna go back to Agent Penland's testimony, because I think there could be something to glean from that. I didn't we're just gonna go through that, and then we're gonna call it a night. Just so if you are not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe, because we cover a lot of legal cases over here. You can catch up with a lot of the legal cases that we have. I create videos of the cases that I cover, and also don't forget to like this video and tune in for the next live that I have scheduled today. It's at 12 midnight in the UK, but 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. PST Pacific time, and that's with Andrea Burkhart. We're going to be discussing the Karen Reed case. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That's gonna come on much later, but I'm looking forward to that discussion. We are gonna be discussing the verdict in that trial. But all we do here is cover cases. Make sure that it's digestible and quick for everyone that follows us. So anyway, so if you like cases, make sure you follow us. Me, I should say. I'm the only one here. Anyway, let's continue on. I say, this is Agent Penland. It says, "Good morning. Let's get back to the London." I've started too far. Okay, moving on. Okay, I've oriented myself. So moving on. Let's get back to the London hotel. Who stayed there this day? Sean Combs, Cassie Ventura, Jules Theodore. What were these Amex charges? So, Virgin America plane ticket for Jules Theodore. What airline is associated with this charge? American Airlines from JFK to LA. And the hotel, Four Seasons, for Clay and Howard, aka Dave. Let's look at 60108. What is this? A travel invoice, Bad Boy Entertainment. What is this? A flight for Jules Theodore. What was the payment method? Sean Combs, Amex. And whose name is in this invoice? Mr. Philip Pines, $500 charge for damage to drapes. So again, it's this is showing the travel for all these free cuffs, getting in all the invoices to show that this travel actually occurred, to go to these locations, and the invoices for the charge for the damage as a result of the free cuffs. So it goes again. It just adds to the especially when they have shown that sex trafficking happened, to ensure that these free cuffs occur, that the abuse that Cassie was suffering. I think this is for Cassie's travels, etc. So the abuse now goes into thinking that, because I would say that they are putting on the abuse angle to say that that's how she was coerced to stay and engage in the sex trafficking. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know. That's what I think is going on. What's this? Booking for the Intercontinental in Times Square in the name of Frank Black. And this charge, damage to penthouse, $46,786 paid on the Amex. That monthly bill was paid by various accounts at Signature Bank. That's a lot of money. What's this charge? A hotel in Riverhead. Where's that? Long Island, NY. Is that where the Hamptons is? Yes. These communications between Sean Combs and Cassandra Ventura color-coded it. What is this? A call from Combs to Ventura for 41 seconds. Let's read this. Skylar can come later. Let's do Skylar. Then Skylar responds to Ventura. Go to slide 4, please. Skylar texts Ventura, what area? Then Skylar said, I'm laying my head down. Hit me up if we're getting together. What do these texts show? 3 photos taken by Ventura. What day is this? March 6, 2016. So that's around the whole incident around the Intercontinental Hotel. Walk us through. Combs calls Ventura, no answer. Ventura texts Combs, says, I checked with security. Jules left. You are good as long as you don't bother the other guests. Then on unanswered calls. What does Combs text Ventura? call me, the cops are here. Then a call connects. Ventura makes a call to D-Rock. He connects. Combs calls Ventura. No answer. This day, March 5th, 2016, Ventura, Texas. You are sick to think it is okay to do with what you've done. Please stay far away from me. I have a premiere. So this is Cassie trying to leave Combs, and this is how Combs responds. What does Mr. Combs text Ventura? He texts, call me, help. Then he texts, help me, I'm about to be arrested. Then if you don't pick up, you will never hear my voice again. Then what? Call not answered. Then Coram calls Ventura. I don't know what was going on, but I don't think it was about to be arrested. Otherwise, it would have been public news. So the fact that he said that, just shows that that's how he was trying to use to stop her from leaving. In my opinion, and this was all around the time of the Intercontinental Hotel incident. Here, Ventura calls D-Rock, then Coram. The calls connect. What does D-Rock text? D-Rock texts, tell him to get out of there before they arrest him. He's not picking up. What does Miss Ventura text to Combs? Going to bed. Now what? Morgan to Coram. Kerry Morgan writes, I don't think anyone should call her, and a photo of an LAPD detective's business card. What next? D-Rock and Coram each call Ventura. Then Coram asks, what is Eddie's last name? What does D-Rock text to Combs? Cassie good. She eating breakfast. Then a 13-minute call, Combs and Ventura. What does Mr. Nash write to Ventura? What time can you today? Arturo is available 3 or 4 p.m. Ventura said Rock's place. Then Combs calls Eddie Garcia. Garcia calls back. What does Ventura text? She texts, this was supposed to be a big day for me. Now I wish I could just stay in bed. And here, calls between Combs and Eddie Garcia. So what this is basically showing is that she was not willing to participate in the freak off that Mr. Combs wanted her to participate in that day going in. That's the impression I'm getting. So I don't know how real the whole police business is, with the whole police business car, etc. But we have already heard her testimonies of how Mr. Combs will get his assistants to contact his women for them as well. So maybe this is. So to me, this is showing how he is using other people to coerce her to come and do these activities. I call it coercive because she didn't want to do it. We have her on tape saying what he did. I don't know if this. Sorry, we have text messages, not on tape. Sorry, but I don't know if this was the same day of the hotel incident that she was referencing when she said you did this to me, etc. I don't know if that was that day, but they were already arranging another freak off or the same freak off. The timeline is not really clear here, but the idea is he got all of his assistants and the chief of staff to make these calls to Cassie to basically get back with him and to basically engage in a freak off. Calls between Combs and Garcia. And what's this? A photo of Eddie Garcia's driving license found on Christina Coram's phone. Now March 9th, 2016. What occurs? Combs calls Eddie Garcia. Then March 25th, 2016 at 1 p.m. Combs calls Eddie Garcia. Agent Penland, other than these charts, did you have any involvement in this case? No further questions. And I think that was it. Oh wait, no, that wasn't it. We're gonna continue on. I think there's a cross-examination of Agent Penland. So he says, so he's back in. He says, we watched the video now. Exhibit. I don't know what video they watch. I think that's the hotel video that they watch. Exhibit 1307. This is a stipulation that the video was found under Frank Black profile on device provided by Cassie Ventura. Here, Mr. Combs wrote, coming to NYC this weekend. What does Ms. Ventura reply? It's really nice here. Mr. Combs writes, I got us ticks for Book of Mormon. That was not your exhibit. That was not in your exhibit, was it? It was not. He writes, you ready for tonight? That's the day before the videos were we looked at, right? Correct. If we could pull up what's already in evidence, page 18, please. This is not included in your chart, right? Correct. Ms. Ventura writes, keep having sexy flashback of yesterday. You see that? Yes. What does Ms. Ventura write? She writes, I bought the best sexy outfits for later and shoes. Oh, my bad. I did not know. I did not share it. I did not share the screen. I did not know about that. Sorry about that, guys. I did not know. I didn't share the screen. So you guys, I've just been hearing me speak. My bad on that. She writes, I promise I will be nastier freak B to make up for it. What does Miss Ventura write? She writes, can't buy Astro, is too expensive. When should I take it? Where is it? Mr. Combs writes, it's in a big bag, it's in the bag, is the orange peel. What does Miss Ventura write here? She writes, I can't wait until we have a baby. Happy Father's Day. Mr. Combs writes, what do you want to do, baby? She writes, I wish we could have FO'd before you left. What does Miss Ventura write? She writes, I hate it that I don't use protection when I get high. I'm gonna get tested. Mr. Combs writes, let's freak off now. What does she write? She writes, okay, well, I'll tell. Mr. Combs writes, I'm locked in my bathroom talking to my therapist. What do you want to do? She writes, it takes Jules hours to get here, or tell Nisha to call to give Dave access. Do you see Dave Shirley writes to KK? Yes. You spoke on direct about Skylar? Yes. And the message about the cops here, but there is not evidence of any 911 calls, right? There is not. I thought so. This photo of This photo of the detective's business card is the only thing about the police, right? Sustained objection. You included a call between Ventura and Combs. Was that a FaceTime call? I don't know. No further questions. I think this cross examination at least gives the impression to the jury that these were not sex trafficking, because that was the bulk of not jury. Well, yeah, gives the impression to the jury because that was the bulk of the prosecution's case, to basically try and say these were the coercive acts to get her to engage in these free cuffs, which if it was coercive and they were getting escorts, etc., to do these things, it would be classed as commercial sex acts, and it will be seen as sex trafficking if she was being coerced to enter it, at least from what I understand. But I want to read the jury instructions so that I can go through all this again and correct myself, because I am yet to see those instructions. But from what I understand, from what I read about the law on sex trafficking, the Mann Act, all those things, I'm getting the idea that it's just mainly coercion, that they have to show that these these were not entirely consensual based on the circumstances. And I think that I think that the defense going back to kind of show that she was willing to do these free cuffs, that it was more of a relationship that they both enjoyed, basically. I think that's so there was redirect. Yeah, we hear redirect says, yes, briefly, the hotel in Riverhead. Who was there? Sean Combs, Cassandra Ventura, and Clayton Howard. This photo, wounds above the eye, so you can remember nothing. Nothing further. So the thing is, people that commit these sex trafficking crimes, they do hurt the women that are part of it, and they still get done for sex trafficking. So yes, they're going with the defense that yes, this is domestic violence and this is a personal relationship, But there are cases out there in which a personal relationship is basically, a personal relationship, though it's violent, it can also be sex trafficking. At least from what we're seeing here, where other people are being flown in to engage in these acts, etc. That's not exactly legal from one in regards to the law. Let me read out the chat here. Normally Plum says, my feeling is they need some sort of evidence to support LP's testimony. Who is LP? Let me know. They need some sort of evidence to support LP's testimony. The defense will claim he's getting revenge for being arrested or fired. Let me know who LP is so that I can kind of trace back to who you mean. Anyway, normally Plum goes on to say, the short amount of time the defense have afforded themselves concern me. I have a feeling they're going to pull a rabbit out of the hat to completely change the stories thus far. I think so. I mean, I don't know who they're gonna call. Maybe they're going to call Christina Corum. I wouldn't do it. I think she's a liability at this point. I don't know how that cross-examination is gonna go, but they might have somebody that they know that has been doing all of these things and doesn't allege violence or anything like that. I have no idea how this is gonna go, but they can defend himself. He does have the resources to defend himself. I do disagree with the people though, and these are my final thoughts before I go. I do have a disagreement in regards to the people that think this has been unduly brought. I know that a lot of people probably misunderstand what the case is about because they see they see the violence and they just think he's guilty, etc. If that violence doesn't accompany all the predicates, doesn't go to prove the predicates of RICO, it wouldn't survive on its own. It just wouldn't, because, and I think the case that the government has put on, I think is strong enough to survive, to at least prove two predicates, even if it's not to do with the sex trafficking part or the Mann Act or etc. The bribery is there. We have to remember that there was solid proof that he bribed the hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel, the security guard there, that he bribed him to get the tape from him so that they don't have the possession of the tape anymore. That's bribery. That's RICO. So they have that proven. They also have the drugs. I don't know how strong the gun is, but they at least have the drugs. So when you look at that, this case has, in my opinion, it has legs. We know that if Diddy was to get arrested, right? And sorry, not arrested, was to get a guilty verdict, right? We know that if that was to be the case, people will be focusing on the abuse, and I get it. I get it. But this here is not an abuse case. I think the abuse is just there to prove that the sex trafficking was done in regards to was done using and the coercion method key here. The method of coercion was abuse, because you can have different methods of coercion. You can have false promises. You can have there's false promises that can be seen as coercive. There is why am I going blank? There's false promises without saying beating. There are other ways to prove coercion, like even like things like her saying no, I don't want to be involved. All those things, these are all you can use that to prove coercion. And it depends on how much weight that the jury would give the coercion part. Because if she does enter in some free cuffs, you have to then question at least the totality of the free cuffs that she does do. Like, does the number of free cuffs that she says no to, are they greater than the free cuffs that she says yes to? Because a lot of people have argued that these are all willing participants, that she willingly participated in the free cuffs, but it's come out that she was blackmailed. Oh, that's another coercive tactic, blackmail. Because the video from the free cuffs, Diddy did threaten to release that to the public. And you also have other witnesses coming in to testify that he was threatening to release these videos to the public. And I don't think it was Cassie either. I don't think it was just Cassie either. You also have the mom that coming to testify in regards to how Diddy even took money away. Sorry, not took money away. That basically said, if you want to get your daughter out, you gotta pay this much, and the mom was gonna pay for it. So it gives that alone, that testimony alone, just suggests that she is being subjected into a sex slavery scenario. And even though she had the opportunities to further her career, because the defense competently showed that, you can argue that the fact that Mr. Combs put out that idea of buying her out of a contract, etc., is really bad. Was a really bad move. And I said it back then that that's gonna bite him, because end of the day, saying that to the mom, and this is someone on your label that hasn't even released I don't think she's even released an album, and all she's done is individual music that you have set her up with, but she still hasn't released an album to even complete the 10 album deal. So when you look at things like that, maybe you can say this is enough to warrant coercion, because of all these people that has come in to testify about how this guy was controlling the whole scenario, controlling the situation, the circumstances around Cassie's movements, all of those things, how he was getting the employees to basically get all these things to set up the free cuffs, all of these things. It doesn't help. It does not help. I don't think they're gonna prove arson, which is part of the RICO predicate. I don't think that has legs, to be honest. But they don't need to. They didn't have to, but they went in there to show arson in regards to Kid Cudi's car blowing up. But forced labor is there. Like, they have shown it, how there's a pattern that these guys go into work expecting to reach a certain career high or something like that, and they end up doing this cleanup for free cuffs and doing all these things as personal assistants. And maybe I don't know how you stretch personal assistance. I don't know how that can be stretched, but just that idea alone, what the government had basically put on I think is strong. I think there is enough here to say, yeah, he could be found guilty, especially of bribery. Like, he's definitely guilty of that based on the evidence come forward. The guns, I think guns as well, drugs as well. I think you can make a real case that even if they disregard the Mann Act and be like, no, we believe that they really wanted to enter this life, and Combs only was violent when he was, just on drugs or something like that. They might choose to believe that and still convict him of RICO because of the other predicates that have been met, and I think that they have met those predicates, in my opinion. So that's what I personally think. I don't know about witness tampering. I think that one is in regards to, I don't know if they can prove that predicate in regards to witness tampering. maybe that one is in regards to the bribery. But but personally, I think I think they have him. I think they have him. Norman Plume says, sorry, BP Brendan Paul. Oh, okay, cool. So let me go back to what you said. He says, my feeling is they need some sort of evidence to support Brendan Paul's testimony. The defense will claim he's getting revenge for being arrested and fired. Well, now that I understand what you're saying, the defense didn't try to put that. They might put that in his closing statement, but they didn't try to solicit that testimony. I didn't see it reported, so it could be in the transcript, but I didn't see that you know being reported. But however, I still think it's bad that this guy was getting drugs from all this corner and even tried to go onto the airplane to travel. Even if it was just an arrest, the inference, at least in this case, I don't know what they judge. I mean, I know that previous arrests, they have a hard time of coming in. But I didn't know that another witness's arrest could come in the nature that it did, because I think that's very, very, very prejudicial. But it's another witness and their criminal history, and they got arrested for what he was getting for you. So maybe that's how the judge saw it and let that testimony in. But yeah, but I've always seen other cases where talking about someone else's criminal history, maybe because it's Diddy, is maybe because Brendan Paul is not understand. Not understand. Maybe because Brendan Paul is not a defendant, so they can go into it. Maybe that's why. But anyway, that's all I have time for. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. This case, like I said, is wrapping up, so the prosecution is closing its case. I'll continue to follow it, and I'll continue to provide week by week coverage. There is a lot here, in my opinion. It's a very interesting case. It has unfolded to be a very interesting case. I will do a full-on revisit stream. Once the verdict is read, we can go through the whole facts of the case and discuss whether the jury made the right choice in what they did. But hopefully we will see you again next week when the court is back in session. And yeah, I will give you an update in regards to everything that happened next week in regards to everything that happened in the courtroom next week on next week's stream. So without further, thank you so much for tuning in. Take good care of yourselves. Have a great evening or day, whichever it is for you. Make sure that you tune in to the stream with Andrea Burkhardt as we're discussing the Karen Reed case. And yeah, hopefully you will enjoy that stream. Take good care of yourself. Bye for now. Bye-bye.